Scorpio, something remarkable is already happening within your soul, and what's coming next will not only elevate your life, but rewrite the legacy of your entire bloodline. You are not just destined to succeed, you are chosen to become the wealthiest in your family. Financially, spiritually, emotionally. And very soon, they'll know why. Welcome to Miracle of the Sign. This moment right here is not random. It's a sacred appointment written in the stars, meant for those whose hearts have whispered more, even in silence. If you're watching this, it's because the divine has guided you here to hear a message you were meant to receive in this exact chapter of your life. Right now, in your birth chart, Pluto, your ruling planet of transformation, is aligning with Jupiter, the planet of abundance and expansion. This isn't just a favorable alignment. It's a cosmic unlocking. A portal. One that appears for only a few. And calls to only the most intuitive souls like you. You've always known you were different, Scorpio. Maybe you didn't always have the words. Maybe you were underestimated, misread, or even pushed aside. But deep down, your spirit carried the blueprint of something powerful. Sacred. Unshakable. Now is the moment that blueprint begins to activate. This video is more than just a reading. It's an unveiling. A mirror to the part of you that is rising like a phoenix, no longer buried beneath the ashes of family expectations, generational pain, or self-doubt. You are the one who changes the story. You are the one the prayers of your ancestors have pointed to. You are the fulfillment of spiritual promise through earthly abundance. You may have felt exhausted, overlooked, invisible. But just as the Bible reminds us in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future," this is your time to prosper. Not by force. Not by proving anything. But by stepping into alignment with who you truly are. Let me take a moment to say thank you from the deepest part of my soul for being here. For every like, every comment, every moment you spend engaging with this message, you are not only supporting this channel, Miracle of the Sign, but you're also activating the sacred energy of community. A family of seekers, healers, and chosen ones who believe that spiritual truth deserves a voice. Now, dear Scorpio, if something inside you has stirred even slightly, I want you to write this in the comments right now. I claim my inheritance. I am ready to rise. By doing so, you're not just confirming the truth of this message, you're anchoring it into your reality. Stay with me until the end of this reading. The revelations that await you are not only breathtaking, they are destined. And they will make sense of every silent sacrifice you've ever made. Let's begin. There's a moment in every soul's journey when the heaviness of waiting starts to feel like part of your identity, where silence becomes your second skin, and hope feels like a language only you still speak. And yet, in the quiet, the cosmos has been listening. Scorpio, what you've endured hasn't been a void, it has been a womb. What felt like stagnation was actually sacred preparation. You see, when Pluto, the planet of transformation and rebirth, aligns with Jupiter, the planet of expansion and divine timing, it's not simply a celestial coincidence. It's an invitation. An initiation. A cosmic unlocking of a door you didn't even know you were standing in front of. This is not about luck. It's about alignment. Pluto doesn't just change what's around you, it reshapes what's within you. And when Jupiter steps into that process, It breathes breath back into the parts of you that were holding their breath for too long. That meeting in your financial and mission-focused houses is not here to nudge you forward. It's here to catapult you. But only if you choose to see the pattern behind the pain, and the blueprint behind what looked like delay. When people talk about transformation, they often forget to mention the loss that comes first. The identity death. The moments of feeling behind, left out, unseen. But the truth is, the universe couldn't give you what you were asking for until you became the version of yourself who could hold it without fear. And now, after everything, you are. That's what this moment is for. It's the mirror finally reflecting the shape your soul has been quietly taking all along. Imagine a desert that's known drought for decades. Soil cracked. Nothing green. The air still and dry. No one would expect anything to grow there again except the sky. And now, the sky opens. Rain doesn't ask the ground if it's ready. It just falls. And the ground remembers. You, Scorpio, are that ground. And this moment is that first drop. A golden downpour of everything that was always meant for you, but only now, you're ready to receive it. This isn't the time to minimize your growth or doubt your timing. It's the time to recognize that all your so-called waiting was really a sacred alignment between the old cycle ending and the new path unlocking. The universe didn't forget you. It was holding space for something greater than your immediate need. It was tending to your deeper becoming. Every financial setback, every delayed opportunity, every no that shattered your expectations, it wasn't the universe closing its doors. It was the universe remodeling the room behind the scenes. Quietly. Faithfully. So, if you've ever felt like your effort went unseen, this alignment is your answer. If you've ever wondered why your gifts hadn't yet opened the doors they were supposed to, this is the key. The invitation now is simple, but profound. Don't just stand in the rain. Open your hands. Let go of the idea that it should have come sooner. Because it's coming in a way that no one, not even you, will be able to ignore. You become the version of yourself who no longer has to chase the blessing. The blessing is now coming to find you. And maybe, just maybe, everything was right on time after all. Scorpio, if you've ever felt like the quiet observer in your own family story, the one who carried more than they spoke, who saw deeper than they were given credit for, then this moment was made for you. There's a rare kind of wealth that lives beneath the surface, long before it becomes visible in bank accounts or milestones. It begins in your spirit, in the way you choose to break cycles rather than repeat them, in the way you nurture even when no one thanks you for your patience. And now, that silent strength is becoming your signature power, not just in your own life, but in the narrative of your entire lineage. When the Empress appears in a reading, she doesn't just signify material comfort, she radiates the energy of generational renewal. She brings life to barren ground. She makes what was dormant begin to blossom. And when paired with the Ace of Pentacles, we're not just talking about opportunity. We're talking about a divine inheritance, something long promised, delayed only until your soul grew strong enough to carry it. These cards don't just point to gain. They point to purpose. To a role you're stepping into that's larger than status, it's stewardship. You are becoming the one they'll look to. The one they'll thank without needing to say it aloud. The one who transforms not just the family's finances, but their faith in what's possible. There's a sacred responsibility that comes with this kind of rise. You're not simply receiving a blessing. You are becoming the blessing. And it doesn't always look glamorous from the inside. Often, it looks like being the one who sees dysfunction and chooses healing. It looks like forgiving without being asked. Like staying soft in a world that expects you to turn cold. But those choices weren't small. They were seismic. And they were recorded not just in your memory, but in the energetic ledger the universe keeps. Every seed you planted in silence is now pushing through the soil with undeniable force. And your family, those who saw, and even those who didn't, will begin to feel the warmth of that harvest. To be the richest in your family is not just about the number in your account, it's about being the one who holds the emotional intelligence, the clarity, the compassion that others lean on when life gets overwhelming. It's about shifting what your family believes is possible. When you rise, they rise with you. Not because you carry them, but because you clear the path and light the way. You open the vault of possibility that was once locked by fear, scarcity, and old patterns. You are rewriting what success looks like, not just for yourself, but for every soul connected to you by blood or spirit. And yes, it can feel heavy to carry this kind of calling. But it also means that your breakthrough is never just for you. It echoes. It liberates. It lifts others out of silence, out of shame, out of survival mode. If you've ever felt misunderstood, this is your confirmation. Your worth never depended on being seen. It depended on you continuing to believe in your vision even when no one else did. And now, they'll see it clearly, undeniably. Not just because you've arrived, but because you've become the one who turns wealth into wisdom, and pain into purpose. So if this resonates deep in your heart, take a breath and remind yourself, you are not alone. You were never invisible. You were being prepared. And the role you are stepping into now? It was always yours. The quiet things you've done, the discipline no one applauded, the forgiveness you gave without ever receiving an apology, the patience you showed when everyone else moved on, those were not small. They were not forgotten. They were sacred. Every single invisible act was a seed, planted in the dark, nourished only by your faith, your resilience, and your vision of something greater. And now, Scorpio, that hidden garden is about to bloom in the most undeniable way. There's something truly mystical about the way transformation works in your chart. As a fixed water sign ruled by Pluto, your evolution is rarely loud. It's subterranean. It's internal. It's spiritual long before it ever becomes visible. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. Because what's rising to the surface now isn't new, it's been growing all along beneath the layers of sacrifice and silence. The universe has been keeping record not of your perfection, but of your perseverance. When we speak of abundance, we often imagine sudden windfalls or visible success. But for you, this abundance began the day you chose to keep going even when the road gave you no reward. The day you chose to believe there was more for you, even when you couldn't yet see it. What's unfolding now is not a reward, it's a return. A return of energy, of intention, of inner alignment. And it's coming with the velocity of divine timing. The phrase, "those who sow in tears will reap in joy," speaks directly to the heart of what you're experiencing. Because you've sown deeply. And you did it without asking for recognition. You planted faith where others planted fear. You chose stillness instead of panic. You said yes to the long road when shortcuts appeared tempting. And now the laws of energy, the rhythm of astrology, and the wisdom of the body are all aligning to mirror back to you everything you've poured into the soil of your life. This is why we now encourage you to match your outer habits with this blooming energy. Nourish your body in ways that reflect the abundance you're stepping into. Purple and emerald-hued foods like blueberries, kale, spinach, and mung beans support not just your physical well-being but subtly align with the energetic frequency of royalty, inner strength, and renewal. These colors aren't just visual, they're vibrational. They speak to your subconscious of power and healing. Just as importantly, begin your mornings with stillness. 10 minutes of intentional silence can reset your entire field. Light a candle if you can. Place your hand on your heart. And say to yourself, slowly and aloud, I am receiving a harvest that matches my depth. I am worthy of all I once waited for. This is not wishful thinking. This is alignment. This is matching your vibration to the reality that is already forming around you. Remember, the most miraculous harvests come from the least likely seasons. A tree doesn't rush to bloom, and yet when it does, the whole forest feels it. You are that tree. And now, Scorpio, the bloom has begun. All that remains is for you to step into it not with urgency, but with calm certainty. Because everything you've been waiting for is now making its way to you, not by accident, but by energetic inevitability. Your faith has already tilled the soil. Now let your presence receive the rain. Sometimes, the weight you carry doesn't belong to you alone. It lives in the pauses between conversations, in the unspoken grief passed down from one generation to the next, in the patterns you didn't choose but that somehow still shaped your path. Scorpio, the energy surrounding you now is not just about personal transformation. It is ancestral. You were never just rising for yourself. You've been rising for all those who came before you, and all those who will come after. In astrology, your sign is ruled by Pluto, the planet of death and rebirth, of deep karmic cycles and cellular metamorphosis. When Pluto is activated in your chart, you don't simply change careers or mindsets, you shed entire lineages of survival, scarcity, shame. The kind of healing you're doing now isn't just emotional. It's generational. That's why it has felt so heavy at times. That's why the path forward has often felt lonely, misunderstood, or unsupported. Because you weren't just navigating your own story. You were rewriting a story that began long before you were born. The image that arises here is one of a serpent transforming into a dragon, an ancient symbol of transcendence. The snake sheds its skin because it has outgrown it. But the dragon? The dragon takes flight with power that no longer hides in silence. You, Scorpio, are that dragon. The silence you've broken, the truths you've faced, the boundaries you've established, they are the wings forming from generations of weight you refuse to carry any longer. It's important to understand that this kind of soul contract isn't punishment. It's purpose. The universe chooses the strongest, most intuitive, most emotionally courageous ones to lead the release. And you were chosen not because you were perfect, but because you were willing. Willing to feel, to forgive, to fight, and ultimately, to free. The burdens your ancestors bore, the scarcity they normalized, the emotional suppression they adopted just to survive are now being dissolved through your awareness, your choices, and your willingness to become something new. In energetic healing, this process is often known as timeline repair. But from the perspective of vibration and the law of attraction, What you're doing now is realigning your entire lineage with a new frequency, one that matches abundance, love, expansion, and emotional integrity. That is a sacred task. And whether or not anyone says thank you, the energy field around you is already responding. What was once blocked is opening. What was once delayed is flowing. Because the past no longer holds the same power over you. So take a moment, Scorpio. Reflect on 5 beliefs, moments, or patterns from your family story that once felt unfair. Write them down, not to judge, but to acknowledge. Then let them go. Burn the page. Bless the fire. And from the ashes, write the words, I forgive. I have been chosen. I am the new beginning. Let this small ritual mirror the profound shift already unfolding within your cells. This is what it means to be the door. Not just to walk through change, but to become the threshold through which others find healing too. Your story isn't only yours. And your success won't just bless your name. It will echo. It will ripple. It will restore balance to an entire lineage that's been waiting for you. There are certain numbers, colors, and signs that don't just pass through your life, they echo through your soul. They tap gently, quietly, until you begin to notice the pattern. And once you notice, something inside you awakens. That's not coincidence. That's energetic alignment. That's the universe whispering to your intuitive mind that a cycle is shifting, and your role within that cycle is expanding. Right now, Scorpio, your field is alive with codes, numerical, symbolic, visual, and these codes are invitations. Keys. Confirmations that what you've been sensing is real, and that what you've been creating is already manifesting. In numerology, the number 8 carries the vibration of infinity, mastery, and abundance. It's not just about financial gain, it's about understanding how to receive, manage, and multiply what flows to you. It symbolizes balance, the flow between giving and receiving, between the inner and outer world. When this number keeps appearing, whether on clocks, receipts, license plates, or dreams, it's not a trick of the eye. It's a message. The energy you've put out is coming back to you, not just in equal measure, but multiplied. Write this number somewhere visible each morning. Speak it. Feel it. Let it remind your nervous system that you are not in survival anymore, you are in expansion. Then there is the number 13, often misunderstood or avoided. But in reality, this is the number of sacred transformation. It represents endings that give birth to beginnings. It breaks down systems that were never built to support your growth and replaces them with new ones that reflect your true capacity. In astrology, 13 is the silent shift, the evolution that doesn't announce itself, but that changes everything once it completes. You may feel yourself shedding identities, roles, and relationships that no longer match your frequency. That's not loss. That's emergence. That's the moment the caterpillar stops crawling and begins to grow wings. Alongside these numbers, your aura is being shaped by color. Purple, specifically deep royal purple, connects you to your inner authority and spiritual sovereignty. It reminds your subconscious that you are no longer small, no longer waiting for permission. You are here to lead, not just follow. Surround yourself with this color when making decisions, especially those related to long-term goals and legacy. Then there's emerald green, the color of heart-centered wealth and gentle power. This hue doesn't shout, it hums. It stabilizes. It protects. Keep a green stone, scarf, or notebook nearby when you're working on creative projects or making financial choices. These aren't just aesthetic choices, they are vibrational tools. They change the frequency of your space and your state. Pay attention also to the dreams you're having. Water represents cleansing and intuition. Flowers symbolize things blooming where once there was barrenness. Gold coins and wealth imagery often arrive in the subconscious right before a breakthrough materializes. And when you see repeating numbers like 888 or 818, those are not random. They are energetic green lights, signaling that wealth is already moving toward you, and you are moving toward it. To deepen this alignment, practice nightly meditation using 888 Hz frequency. Let this sound recalibrate your field and unlock any residual fear around worthiness or receiving. As you rest into that space, write or speak this affirmation before you sleep. I am the one who brings wealth to my lineage. I do not just receive, I create. Say it slowly. Let it land. Let it guide your dreams. Because what you're calling in is not a fantasy, it's the next step in a destiny that was always yours to claim. There comes a moment in every journey when words are no longer necessary, when your presence speaks louder than your explanations, and your transformation becomes a message in itself. Scorpio, you've carried so much in silence. You've walked through fire not to prove anything, but to prepare for everything. And now, the energy around you is shifting. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Within the next 90 days, the seeds you've planted will begin to break through the surface. But not just as personal wins. What's coming to you is a divine inheritance, a financial opportunity that redefines your role in the family, a soul-aligned connection that reminds you you're not alone, and a leadership calling that turns you into the guide others quietly prayed for. This is not just success. This is legacy. You were never just living for yourself. You were carrying the unspoken hopes of your bloodline, the unfinished dreams of those who came before, and the quiet courage to heal what others were too tired to face. You are not the echo. You are the new voice. The first light. The one who said, "It ends with me. And it begins again through me." So, I ask you gently, how would your life look if you actually believed that everything we've explored today is already happening for you? How would you act if you knew the door had already opened, and all that's left is for you to walk through it with intention, grace, and trust? Maybe you felt that stirring inside. Maybe you've seen the numbers, felt the tension breaking, dreamed of something more. That is your higher self reminding you, you were not overlooked. You were being refined. And now, it's time to rise. Let this not just be something you heard, let it be something you practiced. Choose one ritual from today's message, whether it's your daily affirmation, your food aligned with lucky colors, or a meditation with 888 Hz tones. Let it become part of your rhythm, because actions are how we honor alignment. And if any part of this message has moved you, I invite you to pause and write in the comments, 888 I am the heir to divine prosperity. Not for me, for you. Let that sentence become a written contract with the universe. Before we close, let me offer this from my heart. Thank you. Thank you for showing up, for listening with your spirit, for choosing to grow. Every like, every share, every moment you've spent here is a thread in this tapestry we're weaving together at Miracle of the Sign. Your presence breathes life into this space, and I feel your energy even through the screen. You are not late. You are not behind. You are standing at the very edge of something sacred, and your life is about to tell a story that no one will forget. Stay with me. The next chapter begins now,